Goal 2 and 3 are going to be covered now. Goal 2 is just to calculate your potential and kinetic energy. So if we want to calculate the kinetic energy for problem 9, we have to use the equation Ke equals 1/2 mv squared. We have to identify which is mass and which is velocity. So 3 kilograms is a unit of mass. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 3 times my velocity squared. Meters per second is velocity, so it gets plugged in here. So I'm going to basically take 1/2, which is 0.5, times 3 times 8 squared, which is 8 times 8, or 64. And I end up with 96. And the units for all energy and work we're going to see in this unit are joules. So 1/2 mv squared, 96 joules is the answer. The second question is asking you to calculate potential energy. So that's the equation PE equals m times g times h. So a 70 kilogram book, that's our mass. G is always a value of 10, and height is 1.4. So if I calculate this, I've got 70 times 10 times 1.4 gives me an answer of 980 joules. So my answer over here, 980 joules. The next one is going to be a little bit trickier because they're going to give you the potential or kinetic energy and ask you to solve for one of the variables like m or h or for v. So you just have to read carefully and make sure you're plugging things in the right place. So what is the mass of an object that has 600 joules of potential energy when it's at a height of 5 meters? That tells us we need the potential energy equation. So we just have to be careful where we plug things in. So what is the mass? So we're going to be looking for m. 600 joules of potential energy. So that's going to get 600 would get plugged in for potential energy. M is our unknown. G we always know is 10. And they're giving us a height of 5 meters. So we're going to plug a 5 in there. So what we're going to have to do is simplify. 600 equals m times 50, because 10 times 5 is 50, and then we have to divide both sides by 50 to figure out the final answer. So 600 divided by 50 turns out to be 12. So our height is 12 meters. The next problem, they're going to give us kinetic energy. So Ke equals 1/2 mv squared. The kinetic energy is 800 joules. 1/2 times mass, which is 100 kilograms. And they're trying to ask you to solve for V. So that's what we don't know. So let's simplify. 800, 1/2 times 100 is 50. So we're going to divide both sides by 50 to get rid of it on this side. So 800 divided by 50 turns out to be 16 equals V squared. And then you're going to take the square root, and you can do that by going the second function, square root button, second function answer if you want, and it turns out to be 4. So V equals 4 meters per second.